vinyl without sex. You know, listening to vinyl is always a huge challenge. Well, firstly, you need to get a good turntable, and secondly, this turntable, you need to put it on a special surface. It is desirable that it be a stone. It is desirable that this surface be absolutely flat. It is desirable that it was not just a stone, but for example marble brought from Italy. After you have installed the tabletop, put the vinyl player on it, you need to take care that the needle is aligned, that the tone arm is balanced, you need to take care of a good phono stage, you need to take care of the power supply for the phono stage, and only after you will go through all the circles of hell, you will get a really good and exciting sound from vinyl. In fact, vinyl gives a very good, high-quality sound, but it is not for nothing that vinyl growers spend years to get high-quality sound. After all, in order to pick up all the components, to connect all the elements together, in fact, you need to seriously delve into the topic, study, experiment. And only then, vinyl will give you the maximum sound quality. It's interesting that when you turn on the music, on some old turntable, through all that static noise, through the dust that got on the record, through the static that clicks, through the beaten tracks that don't reproduce the full frequency range, through the resonance and through detonation, you still hear a real, clean, live sound. In principle, vinyl lover, real, burned vinyl lover, will never and never switch to digital sound. And the thing is that, when digitizing an analog signal, a time asynchronous occurs in music, that is, not a single digital to analog converter, not a single analog to digital converter can absolutely accurately encrypt and then decrypt the time scale of a musical signal. That is, music signals are not reproduced exactly at the time when they should be reproduced. And it seems that on a digital source you hear an excellent frequency response, smooth, clean bass, clear voice and good high frequencies. You hear great dynamic range, excellent channel separation. All in all, the digital has excellent performance, easy to work with, easy to store, easy to use. In general, the figure is, well, like our everything, in our time. But nevertheless, the time asynchrony that cannot be measured, real vinylists not only measure it, but they feel it, and therefore they can never go from vinyl to digital. Studies have shown that the frequency response is actually not that important in the perception of music. As the correct time scale, let's say, for the reproduction of sounds. Most people, quite calmly, can hear a sound with 5–10% distortion and will not even understand that something is wrong, so go to some shopping center in Riga. Lord, there are these ceiling speakers. They saw the shower like that. It's simply impossible to be in this room, it's just some kind of death, it's hard labor. And at the same time, our brain absolutely easily filters out the shortcomings of vinyl, which are quite a lot: detonation, uneven frequency response and not very high channel separation, and noise from static and noise from dust and contamination of the needle. And through this veil that the brain throws away, you hear a live, warm, real performance. And in fact, there is only one DAC in the world that can reproduce music the way it sounds in analog. All other DACs do it. This is completely clumsy and practically does not take the time characteristic of the signal into account. They don't, but by and large, the modern, analog-digital converter and digital-analog converter do not have enough power or talent for this. As a result, when comparing analog and digital, you hear that the digital sounds tougher, it seems to be cleaner, but nevertheless, some kind of magic, some kind of spark of life disappears. And vinyl growers, in fact, are precisely those people who feel this and who simply defend vinyl with all their being. This is actually respect, guys, and respect. In fact, what attracted me to this device? In fact, I am very far from stylus adjustments, from tone-eam adjustments and all other vinyl-like charms. I am very far from choosing the correct background, and in principle, There are probably quite a lot of people like me. And at the same time, I really like analog sound, because I immediately hear the difference between analog and digital sound, but at the same time, it scares me all the time, the amount of manipulation that needs to be done with vinyl to get good sound quality. Cambridge Audio figured out that I'm probably not the only one who gets scared, all these difficulties with vinyl, and made Cambridge Audio Alva TT. By the way, this is the second version. There, plus of this player, in that it has the very minimum of all kinds of settings. That is, you can, by and large, pull it out of the box, plug it into an outlet, and immediately start listening to music and enjoy good quality analog sound. The device looks amazing. Despite its rectangular simplicity, it attracts attention with its severity. And look what color it is. It's not just any gray, it's moon gray. The top cover here is aluminium and appears to be either machined or cast from a single piece of aluminium. It is absolutely smooth, and when you run your hands over it from above, such a slight vibration is felt. When you swipe along the side panel, there is no such vibration. Under the aluminium cover, to protect against vibration, there is some absolutely divine layer of material called EVA, which unties the table itself from vibrations. The body itself is already made of MDF. Superbly everything is assembled and painted over. I have absolutely no comments on how this device is made. The device also has rubber feet, of course, to protect against vibration. It is interesting that the leg that is located on the front edge is not even a leg, it is such a rather long absorber that stretches along the entire length of the player. Well, actually, behind, there are already two such, as it were, oval legs made of soft rubber material. For vibration protection. The device is controlled quite easily. There are only 3 buttons on the front panel: turn it on, turn it off, and adjust the speed. Even a person like me can figure it out quite calmly. Note that the disc here is made of some wonderful material called polyhexametal, that is, I read out, Derlin. This material is heavy. In general, in terms of weight, this disc resembles more like a stone. That is, it is not as heavy as metal, it is not as light as plastic. In general, this entire disc weighs 2.2 kilograms. When you run your hand over it, you get the impression of such a vibration, the feeling that there are such small tracks. Apparently it is carved entirely from the same Derlin, which is also used, by the way, in precision engineering. Because from this material it is possible, let's say, to manufacture high-precision products. And here it is, this product. Under the disc there is a direct drive motor, that is, a direct drive. Everything is fantastically made. Cool, beautiful, and pleases not only the eye, but, in fact, the hands, with a tactile touch. Also, a completely new tone neum is installed on the device, with a removable shell, and the MC head is already included in the kit. Only this head costs about €500 if I'm not mistaken. As for take it out of the box and it will immediately play, I was a little cunning. There are 2 adjusting rings on the tone neum and, in principle, according to the instructions that are in the box, you still have to adjust a little. The motor is installed inside with medium power and high fidelity, or rather high torsion accuracy. Well, look, it spins the vinyl quite quickly and, in principle, after a few seconds, after turning it on, you can start listening to music. I press the lever, lower the tone neum, and here it is: vinyl noise, static, dust particles. That's the sweet, vinyl sound. Guys, amazing machine. I really enjoy looking at these mechanics, and I enjoyed operating this turntable because it's, well, it's fun. This creates an interesting tactile sensation. On the back wall, on the back panel of this device, everything is pretty simple. Well, firstly, there is a MC phono stage that you can turn on or turn off. That is, if you decide to get confused and get an audio file off as phono stage, then you can turn off the built-in one. Bluetooth is also installed here. Well, in light of what was said about the time asynchronous, I don't understand why Bluetooth was put here, but about how I used Bluetooth and how it sounds, I will tell you a little later when I talk about sound. And the Bluetooth transmitter here is switchable. That is, you can turn it on, or you can turn it off, and Bluetooth supports the aptX HD codec. That is, in principle, from this Cambridge you can broadcast Bluetooth in high-res resolution. The Bluetooth pairing button is not very conveniently located. It is located on the back panel. So I groped, and, in principle, every time for mating you have to run your hand and do it. And if you also have a plexiglass cover made of organic glass on top, then you will have to make real snake movements with your hand in order to pair the Bluetooth transmitter with the device on which you now want to listen to music. By the way, a plexiglass cover to protect against dust is also included in the kit, and you will get the most delightful sensations when the plexiglass cover will speak out of your hands and fall to the floor, and you will think like that will break, will not break, will break, will not break. And if it breaks, you have to glue it. And of course, one more detail that is on the back walls, on rear panels of all players, this is ground. When you put a vinyl record on, you brush off the dust with it from the edge to the center, and then you need to touch the shaft in order to dump the accumulated static exactly to the ground so that it goes into the ground. Such is the ritual, it is important. So, today, in the high-fidelity salon at CESU33 in Riga, we listened to a wide variety of records. Everyone knows Daft Punk, who recorded their album with an excellent level of quality. We listened to a record that was recorded in the local recording studio of the Jersica Records recording studio. In fact, the guys from Jersica are famous for the fact that their entire recording cycle is absolutely analog. That is, they record live musicians on the studio, and then, the master tape from this studio is already going to the press. We listened to Metallica, but my friends didn't really like listening to this album because it doesn't sound at all. And one of the albums that I liked but most of all is the Electric Light Orchestra, an album from the 70s or 80s, beautifully recorded. And in fact, this record just took me to the past. It's just some kind of time machine. It sounds so great, high quality and atmospheric that I just got stuck listening to these compositions. It is interesting that, with all connections, the Cambridge sounds differently. Well, first I'll tell you about Bluetooth. First of all, I connected it with my Denon Global Cruiser 30 headphones via Bluetooth by pressing this button, having suffered with this pressing. But when I managed to press the button, everything paired instantly. The sound is awesome. He is clean, clear, distinct. You hear everything, from the very bottom to the very top. It is interesting that usually, most of any modern and non-modern sources have a rise in the middle frequencies in order to, let's say, more people like it. So, Cambridge via Bluetooth sounds absolutely smooth when you listen to it in headphones. There are no squeaks, cheeps, absolutely clear, even, clear sound and surround. And all the musicians are in their places, point-wise. And even sometimes you can hear a little layering in depth in the headphones. The second option, as we listened via Bluetooth, we connected the Cambridge Audio Evo 150 wirelessly, that is, we used Bluetooth aptX HD in high-res quality and, in fact, the sound on the Bluetooth pair, Cambridge Audio and Cambridge Audio, is pretty tasty. It is fast, clear, crisp and clean. In principle, usually, the vinyl somehow blurs the frequency of the frequencies, the frequency purity, and the sound turns out to be a little unclear, but here everything is absolutely perfect. And after turning on, after that, the same compositions, but already from the streamer, on the Cambridge Audio Evo 150, you clearly feel that their sound is, well, a little harder. You can actually hear it right away. And not only heard but also felt. The second way we connected Cambridge Audio is by wiring through the built-in phono stage. And this is what I advise you not to do. This is a very bad option because Cambridge Audio Evo doesn't like analog sources. He seems to like numbers. Well, in general, the sound turned out to be quite so sad and I didn't want to listen to it at all. The third option, as we listened, we connected a high-end Audio Note 0 amplifier. The acoustics were used by KLH Acoustics, used here KLH Model 3. The acoustics with this amplifier were used simply by the American legendary KLH Model 3. And also, to the Audio Note 0 amplifier, which by the way is not transistor, not D-class, not tube, it is diode, it works on diodes, it is generally some kind of exclusive fantasy, and its power is very small. Also, we listened to this amplifier with Monitor Audio's Silver 500 speakers, pretty big floor-standing speakers. What kind of sound, in fact, turned out with this Audio Note 0? Guys, amazing, clean, clear, atmospheric with a deep stage, with soft images of musicians that are placed around the stage, and most importantly, in vinyl. This is the spark of life that you not only hear, which you feel when listening to analog recordings, because in principle, the majority, 99% of digital sources, will never give you this last element, the spark of life, which as it turns out, due to the fact that the digital records are simply knocked down in temporary dementia. Interestingly, the temporal imbalance, the temporal asynchrony, is quite insignificant. Let's take a second, sound playback. A second is broken down into 1000 milliseconds. So, the imbalance is not even milliseconds, it takes picoseconds. That is, it is a unit even less than a millisecond, and it's interesting that we can't hear it, but we feel it. Turntables, change toneums there, change heads, engage in all sorts of exorcisms with phono stages, because these people really go in the belief that their feelings are correct, and this is true. So friends, we listened to all sorts of genres. I really liked the Electric Light Orchestra, as I said, a very voluminous good recording. I really liked how Steve Ray Vaughan sounds live. Again, all these guitar string pickings are amazingly reproduced here. And cool sound via Bluetooth, via Cambridge Audio and via Audio Note 0. Interestingly, Cambridge Audio reproduces sound in the full frequency range. Usually, when you listen to some budget turntables, you can clearly hear that the sound is cut in the frequency range, or it disappears up, or there is no bottom. Clearly, you can hear some kind of detonation on cheap turntables. But here, guys, first of all, you can't hear any detonation on the bass, which happens with so many turntables. Absolutely flat frequency response, that is, Cambridge Audio does not stick out anything, and does not hide anything at all. That is, it is a smooth, high-quality sound, for those people who do not want to bother with all these vinyl secrets. And in conclusion, I will say that the premium hi-fi channel is also developing to improve the quality of the video, to improve the sound quality. I need to update the equipment on which I shoot my videos. Under the video there is a button thank you, and all thanks received, all received donations are sent directly to equipment upgrades.